everyone, I'm Kirsten McWilliams at the Hearing Solution, and I know that COVID's been really tough lately, so we wanted to share a positive story with everyone about one of our patients here at the Hearing Solution. So her name is Jane, and we'll call her Jane just for privacy reasons, and Jane went down the journey of getting a cochlear implant. So Jane's journey started, she has one good ear, which is a pretty significant hearing loss in one ear, and pretty much no hearing in the other ear, even though she wears 2 hearing aids. And Jane had been told by ear, nose, and throat doctors and audiologists that there's just nothing that could be done for her bad ear. So despite what everyone said, she still wore a hearing aid just to provide some access to awareness of sound on that side, which in the end probably helped her outcome. Anyways, Jane really struggled hearing in any sort of noisy environment. In the car, at home with background noise, especially restaurants and public spaces, she just could not understand if there was anything going on behind her. She was really frustrated and had a hard time participating in conversations, no matter how hard she tried. When I found Jane, we decided to pursue a cochlear implant. And the first step was to run her through some tests to find out if she was even a candidate. Now, these tests are designed for her to wear her hearing aids and repeat back sentences and words and score her to find out how well her hearing aids are doing for her in that situation. If she qualified, that means there was hope. There was something better than her current system that would give her better word understanding. If she did not qualify, that meant that her hearing aids were doing a pretty good job, and having the cochlear implant surgery would not end up benefiting her with better outcomes. So during the testing, she qualified for a cochlear implant, and she was sent to a surgeon, Dr. Murray in San Jose, who did the surgery. It went very well. I think her biggest complaint was the burden of having to do a COVID test before the surgery, but she had very minimal side effects afterwards and recovered very quickly. I saw her about a month later after the surgery to turn the cochlear implant on, which we call activation. At this activation, when we turned it on and she heard out of that ear for the first time in probably 5 or 6 years, she said everything sounded very mechanical, very robotic, almost like techno music. It did not sound natural at all, which is pretty common. That's what we generally hear. About 2 weeks later, when I saw her, things were starting to sound a lot more natural. She was able to understand out of that ear. But what was really surprising was when we did the booth testing again with her pre-implant, before the surgery, she had scored 0% word understanding in that ear, meaning after repeating sentences, after repeating words with that ear, she understood 0%. She got none of them correct. 2 weeks after having her implant turned on, she scored 94%, which is quite honestly very, very rare. It's very rare to see that quick of a improvement. But I wanted to highlight Jane and her experience because I feel like the amount of dedication and time her and her husband, her communication partner, put into working to retrain that ear, which we call oral rehabilitation, which is pretty much exercises and rehabilitation for the auditory system on that side, which has been deprived of sound for so many years. It's really retraining that brain how to hear and make new associations to all the sounds in your world and speech. She and her husband worked daily on exercises using only her implant, and the work really paid off. She's now able to understand phone calls and everything on that side, and she does not regret it at all. In fact, she's happy to talk to anyone who has questions. And we're very excited once COVID kind of opens up and she's able to go to more restaurants and public settings and background noise settings to see what an improvement having 2 ears instead of 1 really makes.